Oh my goodness, You-est You listener. I am so excited to be here with you. I've got the biggest grin on my face, and I know you're going to have one after you hear this conversation. I'm so excited. You are going to get to be in this really delicious conversation with me and one of my soul sisters, my beloved dear friends, who's also, I'm just going to say it, we're trying not to swear and use bad words, but she is a total badass. She is a boss lady to the highest degree, to the seventh degree. And I'll tell you why I'm saying that. So let me tell you about Monique Washington-Jones, and then we're going to just dive right in. So psyched you're here. Thank you for joining us. And as always, I really hope that this conversation helps you to be and love and align with your You-est You. All right. Monique, who is a total badass, she owns Karate for Girls. She is an amazing entrepreneur. Monique is also a facilitator. She is a speaker. She's a mentor. She is a philanthropist. She's all these things and way more. Here's what is so amazing about Monique. She is a second generation martial artist, and she is a seventh degree black belt. You heard that right. I'm like 1 degree. Like that seems absolutely incredible to me. She just got her seventh degree black belt. She just got that. So that is so cool. And Monique is also someone who is really tuned in to being a wife, she's a dog mom, a stepmom. She is God-fearing, and she is just one of my favorite human beings on the planet. So Monique, I've been wanting to have this conversation. You and I feel like always have these like deep, awesome conversations. I'm like, we should have been recording. We should have been recording. And we're recording. So, sister, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me.
I really like, and I want to say for those who don't know Monique, we'll have all of your information so people can like find you and stock your studio. And if they have daughters or they want to go, if they're women, they want to go to your studio, they can. So let's talk first about like, first of all, getting a seventh degree black belt, second generation martial artist. Like for those who don't know you yet, maybe just to talk for a minute, like how you got into karate, how that started in your family. Like, let's start there so we can just kind of give people a sense of how you've created this incredible business around martial arts.
Yeah, so I think the short version of this story is it's literally in my blood. My father taught my sister and I as long as we can remember. And we've just been doing it our whole entire life. So that's it's the only sport that we ever did. We literally grew up in the dojo. In our household, we didn't have a choice. You had to train. Like it wasn't an option. You had to train in our household. So it's just something I've done my entire life. So I've trained, I've competed, I've coached, to being a teacher to now being a martial arts school owner. So it's definitely like full circle. But yeah, I've been doing it almost 40 years now. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I'm like, wait, how are we that old that you?
Yeah.
What? Oh, and I think also what's amazing, your dad, who, of blessed memory, your dad also was, I mean, what degree black belt was he? I want to say.
So my father was a 10th degree grandmaster in our style when he passed away. Yeah, which is pretty significant. He did it over 50 something years. So he grew up in it as well. Yeah. So he was pretty well known in the martial arts industry in our circle. So yeah, 10th degree, which is pretty awesome. So
Oh my gosh. No, and I remember when I visited recently, so we're both in Maryland and I went to the studio in Maryland and you were like, here is his belt and his what do you call it? The
gi is uniform. Yeah.
Yep. And you had it framed. It was so heavy and like you had to get a special frame for it. And I was just looking and I'm like, that takes a lifetime. And it did.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. He was a massive guy. So the uniform and belt he was a big guy. So, he was like 6'4". So he was a huge personality, physically, mentally, emotionally. He was just a big presence. So of course his uniform would weigh a ton. So trying to get it, trying to acknowledge him in that way and put his uniform in the shadow box. It was a whole deal. Like it was even, we took it there and they were like, this is really heavy. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty. He's a big guy. So he's still showing up big even after he passed, which is awesome. So
Oh, I love that. No, I mean, it says it's a statement. You could feel the presence of that. And I know getting that up
Thank
there
you.
was probably no small thing because it is so
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
Um, I think what's really amazing, and I want to you to tell this story because so many people, and I know many of my listeners, have this dream, have these hobbies, have these, you know, strengths or things that they're good at or interests and passions. And taking that to that next level of actually creating a business, a community, a whole offering, really you're changing people's lives with what you're doing. It didn't just happen, and it didn't just happen like overnight, I know, for you. And I think like we met, and I just remember when the coach that I had trained with when I got my master's degree, she had worked with you, I think in leadership, Howard County. It was Peggy. And she's like, you've got to meet Monique. You don't even realize you two are like two peas in a pod. You have to meet her. And I remember when I met you, I was like, oh my God. I mean, I just keep saying, I know we're not supposed to swear, but badass. I'm like, you're just a rock star. It's a better way to say it. You are. And I remember your story, and I was like, wow, you kind of had a interesting like transition from going into corporate to starting your business. Maybe just to level set, so people that don't know your story, you can share what you were doing before you started your studio, and then like what gave you the impetus to start your own thing.
Yeah, so I was originally doing it part-time. It was a passion project. And in my world, even my father did it for passion. They didn't, we didn't do it for profit in my circle when I was coming up. So my father had a full-time job and he did it as his passion. It wasn't for income. And I think that it says a lot when you do something for passion. So he did it for passion. So fast forward to about 16 years ago now, I guess, if I'm doing the math right. And I was doing it as a passion project. So I was, my goal was to, empower women and empower girls. So I started this passion project where I trained girls in Maryland. And I was in grad school full time. I worked full time, and this was not my full time job. It wasn't for money. It was a sole passion project until it wasn't. That kind of happened
Right.
abruptly, and it wasn't planned at all. But I think, looking back, I think everything's done by design. And I did lose my job. I was working in corporate America and climbing the corporate ladder as you're supposed to. And, you get your degree and you do this so you can get better opportunities. And so I was in grad school. I was doing all the things or thought that I was doing all the things right until I wasn't, and then lost my job a month after I got married. So, and that's a whole nother story, but our honeymoon phase ended super fast, and it was kind of like, oh crap, like what now? What are we going to do? And it was fight or flight, like super fast. And we had to, shift and pivot. And again, I didn't know how to run a business. I was in corporate America doing this as a passion. So learning how to run a business while losing your job and trying to figure out, of course, naturally I wanted to go get like another corporate job. That's all I knew. But my husband, who again, done by design, because now he's my husband. It's a month after we got married. So now he's invested too, right? Who is a self-made entrepreneur and was like, why don't you do it full time? And I was like, what? Because in my circle, again, it was all done for passion. We didn't do it for income, and I didn't know anything about running business. So we just kind of dug our heels in the sand and, figured it out. And it was hard. And I'm grateful that I had a husband that was supportive in that way, because, I would have gone back to corporate America because that's all I knew. And then we just kind of grinded it out for a couple of years until the business replaced the income I was making before. And now here we are 16 years later, but it was not planned. And I think that that's a huge, significant part of my story, because I never went out to open an all-female school to have a successful business. That wasn't why I did it. And I think that it speaks volume to why the business is where it is now, if that makes sense. So.
Yeah. So I want to definitely, first of all, my stomach dropped every time you say like, I was married for a month. Like that is the last thing you want to have happen, is now to tell your significant other, I'm so sorry, I have no income and no job. So, hi, thanks.
And by the way, you
Have
have
fun.
to pay all the bills until I figure it out.
Yeah. Now you get to put this all contract that we just signed together to the test. Here we go.
Yep.
Yeah, here it is. So I wanted to talk about this. I love what you said earlier that, it started from passion. It started as a passion project. You were doing this on the side, empowering women, training women and girls. And then you had this moment of, well, your husband was like, hey, you could like do this full time. And you said that, the business wasn't really running a business wasn't really planned, and it wasn't actually about the profit at first. Like that wasn't the impetus behind it. And I think that's really important to just when you kind of look back on it, because it's been so successful. And now I know you have another studio in Richmond, and you didn't plan to have two. And you might have more, but
Yeah.
you didn't start that way. And I'm thinking of those listening that have passion, that have similar to you, whether it's they're into painting or coaching or nutrition or another skill. Maybe it's singing, offering singing lessons, whatever it is, that starting from that place of passion, what I'm hearing kind of so important to get is starting there is really the crucial point.
Yeah. 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 And looking back, you don't know that. I know that now, when I look back and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, now I get it. But it was never to open a business to profit. That was never the reason why I did it.
Yeah.
I did it, I had my own personal reasons why I did it. And so I think that that's a huge thing to acknowledge now. 16, when you're in it, you don't get it. But right now, like, I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What are some of the, like, now that you have the 16 years of experience, if you were to boil down, Monique, some of the like key insights or learnings now as, a full on entrepreneur now. Now you are in it, you are running
Mhm.
two studios, like you've gotten a lot more information, and curious just for those that either have started a business, have a business, thought about it, had one and failed, maybe doing it again, or just interested, curious. What would you say are some of the main ingredients to running a successful business? I think we can then talk about like actually what you're doing in your business, but what are some of those core ingredients, would you say?
On like what I think I want to make sure I understand your question on why the business is successful now. Is that what you're asking? I think, is that the
Yeah.
question? I'm trying to make
Yeah,
sure.
like ingredients. Yeah, like ingredients for success. Like what would you say are some of the we'll look at the pandemic because I know
Yeah.
that was an interesting moment in time as well.
I think, as cliche as it sounds, I think surrounding yourself with the right people is huge. I know that the business has not been always, rose colored glasses for 16 years. And I think that you need to have a solid tribe, which I like to refer to, around you, just kind of like to hold you up or cheer you on or pick you up or whatever, be a resource, support, all the things. But I think that it's important that you need to have the right people around you, because it's not easy. I think that that's huge. And I'm really blessed to have, my husband, who's my business mentor. I also have a martial arts mentor, and I just have really good friends. I have a really cool tribe around me that, I know I'm just really blessed to have like a really solid, foundation, and it's strategic. Like, my circle's not large, but the people that are in that circle, they mean a lot and have helped me get to where I am now. So I think I
Mm.
know that's probably not the best business 101 answer to say, but
Yeah,
I
it's great.
think it's crucial. If I think of every up and down, every ebb and flow with the business, like, it's really about the people that I have with me.
Yeah.
And then there's, of course, the nuts and bolts, like know your numbers and da da da, like that kind of stuff. But I think it's having the right people around you is huge when you're trying to go next level.
I think that is so important, what you just said, and is often overlooked. And especially when it comes to, so there can be like people in your circle that you're friends with. It also can mean, and I know you've done this, I know I've done this, it can mean investing in a mastermind, in a mentorship program, in finding that support, because having those people, especially those who've gone before you or those that can support you, I think this is a really important piece to share with people. I'm glad you're bringing it up. I mean, I've had a very similar experience.
Right.
And I know, just knowing you, you always surround yourself with such, and really like a wide variety of people with different talents.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, my father, may he rest peacefully, was huge on learning what you can learn from different people. And it doesn't matter like what area they are, and just not being judgmental and being open to whatever people can teach you. So I'm just as excited about meeting a new entrepreneur that's hungry and wants to learn everything and is a sponge, because I was like that at one point and need to make sure that I'm always a student, just as much as I get from a millionaire entrepreneur that you can learn from. And so I think you can learn from everything in between, and being open to that process is huge. And, don't get too high that you can't, learn from someone that's just starting their business, because you used to be that person. Right. And I think that's huge. Like, oh, I was hungry like that. I need to make sure I humble myself and learn and be okay with learning again. So I think that it's, I do have a very diverse but strategic network of people that I consider my tribe. And that's done purposely. So.
Yeah. I love that you just said open and kind of humble, the humility. That is so you. And I think just for all of us, for anyone, if you're listening and this is something you're thinking of doing, I mean, you really, you are that, you really are. And that openness to learning from all different kinds of people with all different backgrounds. I definitely see that in you for sure. Mm-hmm. I am curious, because one of the things I love about what you're doing, as far as I know, it's the only all-girls karate studio, at least in the area, if not in the country. Like I feel like you might, is that true? It's the only all-girls studio?
So you know what? It's funny because my husband and I were talking about this the other day, because I was interviewed somewhere else and I said it and I was like, oh, I don't want to misquote, right? I want to be careful that someone doesn't call me out and is like, no, you're not the only one. So I can say this. 16 years ago, when it was an idea and it had just started, in my research, so, in Google and, in the research that I did, there was no standing only female martial arts school. There were schools that had female programs within their co-ed school, like they would have a separate program for girls or separate program for women within the co-ed environment, but not a standalone female-only school 16 years ago. Now, if maybe they weren't on Google or maybe they didn't have a website, and that could be possible. So I want to be careful that I'm not, quoting wrong, but in our research, there wasn't one 16 years ago. And it's cool that I love that now there's a lot of more schools that are offering female programs within their program, not a standalone school. I think we kind of stand, if not alone, not many that would do that, because it's hard, because you also have to have all female staff, and that's a whole nother story in a male dominant sport. So I think so, but I don't want to get in trouble for saying something. Yeah. In our research, there wasn't one. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it completely. Like I think people will get it. Like if not the only, you're one of the only, and you started it, there weren't any others out there. Talk a little bit about your mission, the passion behind this being women only, girls only, and then what's the undercurrent of what you're teaching? Because I think your mission, I have a sense of it, but I think to share with others, it's powerful. It's really powerful.
Yeah. So the reason why Karate for Girls exists is because I was the 8-year-old girl on the mat, and my sister and I, one of the only females on the mat, working out with guys and having to sweat with guys and spar with guys and roller on the ground with guys. And it was not fun at all. And we hated it. And we literally tried to quit like every month, and my father just wouldn't allow it. And we would also see other women and girls come to our school and train, but they would end up quitting because of the same thing. They hated that they were in space with males that they weren't always, comfortable in doing. And there wasn't a lot of opportunities for them to train with other females. And again, this is like 40 years ago. So a lot's changed since then. But it was not fun. And I knew that if they stuck it out, the benefits of the training, but they would never stick it out. They would always quit. So when I had an opportunity to open the school on my own, separate from my dad and in another state, I was like, hey, it would be cool to have like an all-female school. And then the women and girls that came to train could really get the benefits from the training and not have to worry about working out with a guy or having a guy sweat all over you because you're sparring this guy that you've never met, So I just wanted them to stick to it, and I was like, if they didn't have to worry about that part and can just train, it would be a good day. Because I know that what the training does for you, not just, martial arts wise, but your esteem and your fitness and your confidence and discipline in life. And it was frustrating to see people quit and not see that part of it, So when I was able to open the school myself, that's what I did. Even though it was a passion project, I knew I was creating this space that girls could train and not have to worry about quitting because they had to work out with a guy. So that's why the school is what it is and where it came from. It came from, I was the 8-year-old on the mat with boys working out and I hated it. So, yeah.
Can you talk for a moment about, I know that you've done not just with girls, you've had women that you've trained, you've done work around self-defense, maybe I just think it's really amazing what you're offering, but maybe how it's not just girls, like it's grown. And I know you have women as well. So what to share just about the programs for girls and for women as well?
Yeah, so it started off just for girls and then there's this ripple effect. So it's like the more it grows and expands, I have realized the more we can impact women and girls. So it first started off as like grade age girls, and then it kind of expanded to like this pre-K age before they got in grade school. Like, what if there was a program to introduce them to martial arts before they actually did it? So then we started training like 3 and 4-year-olds. And then we started offering it because we had moms that were sitting in the dojo anyway, like, why don't you guys train? So then it kind of expanded to an adult program. And then it just kind of like rippled. I mean, it's just like amazing how, I'm super blessed that it just kind of like grew from that. And now, I mean, like my youngest student is 3, my oldest student is 62. And we train like everything in between like 3 and 62. And then it just kind of grew. We went from the school to then we started offering after school programs where we were going into schools offering, empowering girls that way. And then we have a tournament. So we actually host a tournament every year. We've been doing this for 10 years now. Well, now female competitors from other schools can come and do competition where normally they're competing against guys. Now they can come and compete. So it keeps like growing and expanding in this way, which is super cool that, and it's beyond me. It's not just me. It's me, my team, my network, my tribe that's doing it. And then it just kind of like there's ripple effect. And now, I have a network of female martial artists that we get together and network together. So it just kind of like grows and grows and grows and grows, which is super cool. So yeah, so it started off with just grade age girls and just kind of like expanded from that.
Okay. I'm obsessed. The fact that you have a 3-year-old in your studio, that is the cutest thing. And like a 62-year-old woman that, and I think I want to say this for you, listener, that if you can hear the undercurrent of what Monique is saying, it's passion. It's passion and heart and this deep connection to this modality, it's a discipline that helps with discipline. I love that you said that it builds self-esteem and confidence. And this started from you saying, okay, there's something missing. I don't want to be sweating on a mat with another dude. Like I want to be, in a more, an environment that feels more aligned and comfortable. And this is what I've seen with some of the greatest, businesses and ventures that start from something that was missing for you or that was missing there and coming from that passion. I mean, that's like so evident. That's why anytime we catch up or talk, I'm like, you're just on fire. You're on fire about this and you live and breathe it. And I just think this is so inspiring for anybody who's like, not that you have to take a passion and turn it into a business. I know some who just keep it as a passion project, like your dad. It sounds like he worked full time and he did this as his passion project. It's just so cool that you have transformed it into a thriving two-studio business that I'm sure will grow from beyond that. One of the things I thought that was really neat, I remember during the, our couple years of lovely pandemic time, we'll just say that I remember when we got on Zoom and I was like, all right, what up? What's happening? Like, how are you pivoting? And you're like, I have to refigure this entire thing. And I think you're like laughing and I'm laughing because I remember thinking like at some point, this is going to be like a memory where we're like, remember that time? So I guess I'm wondering to just share, to share for a moment, what was that pivot time like? You really had to shift your business, the way you operated. I think this is important too, because it shows your ability to like change it up and to move with what was going on.
Yeah, it was not as pretty as it may have looked on the outside. When I look back, it was a hot mess. But it was when I look back, I'm like, I don't know how we did it. We literally and as every business did. I mean, every business had to pivot, so we're no different in that. But I think what happened is one thing other than us being an all-female school is our school is really a community and it's really a family. And we really stuck together. Like we were all hurting. The parents, the students, my staff, like we were all struggling through the pandemic, and we used each other as a support system through it. So we did not have any downtime. Like I think we got the call like on a weekend that everything was shut down. And by the way, I live in Virginia and this was happening in Maryland. So I'm getting all of this information 2 states away. So I'm following Maryland on what was happening, and which was a little different than Virginia. So by Monday, we were doing Zoom classes, and I had never even heard of Zoom. So at that point, I am teaching 20 Zoom classes a week. Like I'm teaching all the classes because none of us knew how to do Zoom. My staff didn't know how to do Zoom. So we're all just kind of like figuring it out. I am literally doing 20 classes a week while I'm taking Zoom classes because I didn't know what Zoom was. So I'm doing Zoom classes during the day because I didn't know what the heck Zoom was. And then I'm trying to teach, and I'm using that very loosely because it was a crap show. Like, I mean, cameras were off and I couldn't hear kids, and kids were running across the screen. Like it was a mess. But our families were very appreciative that that's how we stayed connected and got through the mess that was happening in the world, that we knew every night their daughter was going to jump online and do something with Sensei, however we figured it out, but that was how we stayed connected. And that helped me stay grounded. That helped them and their family stay grounded because everything else around them was a mess. And that was the constant, that they were still, had class, once or twice a week, and they were doing their training. And then after 2 weeks of that, I was like, I can't do this by myself. So then I'm training my team how to do Zoom because I'm like, I'm going to get burnt out trying to do 20 classes a week. So then I'm getting my team, and it was still a mess. Like the classes were horrible. It was like, and you're trying to teach a physical sport where you have to touch online. So we're like, okay, punch like this, and okay, pretend like you're kicking the camera. I mean, it was a crap show. And we did it, but like the parents were like, meanwhile, the parents are sending me emails. I'm like not sleeping because I'm teaching classes and trying to figure out Zoom. And the parents were like, thank you so much. She needs to work out. And thank you for staying connected. Da, da, da. And we kept 90% of our students. Like we did not lose. I mean, and unfortunately, a lot of martial arts schools shut down because, again, you're changing a physical sport to virtual, which who does that, So a lot of them shut down. We maintain, thank goodness, we maintain, and we kept 90% of our. So we did virtual for about 6 months before we can open up. And then once we opened up, it still was very limited. So it was then it was even crazier because we had online classes and in-person classes. So, which is like running 2 different businesses. You're doing 2 different schedules, 2 different lesson plans. It was craziness. But my drive and my team's drive was that the families needed the consistency. Our students needed the consistency. They needed to work out. They were sitting in the house and they weren't working out. So that's what kind of made us push through, but it was not pretty. It was not, not, I cannot, yeah, I don't know what we were doing. I mean, I can tell you stories like, I mean, we had kids, playing with toys and bringing toys to the camera. Like it was, we had dogs coming up to the camera. I'm like, what is happening? But it was their consistency, and they knew, hey, they're going to log on and have karate class, and they're going to get a workout. And now, I mean, when we still do a little bit of online classes when needed, and there was a silver lining in it, because now we're able to offer it when students are traveling. They don't have to stop training. And I have a student in Germany that trains, which is awesome. And that came from the pandemic, because we can do Zoom training. And now my staff rocks it with training online. But yeah, it was interesting to say the least. I don't know how we survived it, but I do know how we survived it. We survived it because our families needed to stay connected with us. That's how we survived it.
I love what you're saying. First of all, I remember this intermittently talking to you, and like, I'm. It warms my heart though, because I was like, if there's somebody who's going to be able to figure this out, it is Monique for sure. And you did. What I love that you said is at the bottom of it all is that connectivity, the connection, the consistency. I think these are important values that no matter what's going on, when we, it's one of the things I love about you. Like, you are so about being of service, connected in community, living from your heart, honestly, and that passion for this work, for martial arts, for the discipline of it, and keeping, that consistency for your students and the parents who probably were like, thank God for you. And it retains your people. I'm sure like those are fans for life. So that I'm laughing because I'm having memories of like getting on. I feel like we got on Zoom and you were like, "Oh my goodness, this is a
hot mess.
actual like crazy town show over here." Like it is. So it's good to just remember that, and I think for anyone that's like having a challenging time or moment, hopefully we never go through that again. But like there might be a downtime or a struggle, and it's like, look and see, like, how can I stay in that place of passion and connection and being of service and staying, disciplined and consistent. And you're such like the poster child of that.
Thank you. Yeah. In person, behind closed doors, I was a hot mess, but
behind you did a great job though. I know I saw a little of the hot mess and it wasn't that. I mean, I was like, I understand why you're feeling that way. You have a school. I was like, darn, that is a lot.
That's my husband, my poor husband.
Oh, we love David. Just hey, yeah. He's like, yep, that was the time. That was special. Before we wrap, I want to ask two more things. I want to ask you, what is the focus now? Like, if you had to say what your legacy, I know that's like a big ass question, but like that legacy that you want to leave, like you can get into vision a little, we're visionary here. Where would you love to see this go? What would you love to see happen? As it relates to the work you're doing and your students and you, like, in the world.
Yeah. So I think that now, because I've been doing this a really long time, and I realize as I grow in the martial arts and grow in the business, like, I just want to keep making that ripple effect and duplicating my vision through other people. Like, they can do, I can do bigger with more people. And I feel like, it's not just me. The reason why the school in Maryland runs independently of me is because I have a team. And the reason why we're able to build these communities of female martial artists, whether it's at the school or our tournament or our network, the reason why we're able to do this is because other people get the vision and get my passion, and it grows that way. Like, I can't do it all. So I think that the more people that I touch with that vision and they get that, the bigger it'll grow. I don't know that I have a hard vision on what that looks like, but I know that like every opportunity that I get to like expand my vision and share it with other female martial artists and other families and other people in the community, the bigger we'll grow. So, I mean, like Karate for Girls is way bigger than me right now. And I don't mean that in a boastful way. I mean that in there's a lot of other people that get it, and that's why it grows. So that's my goal now, is to just make sure that that keeps happening. And how else can I do that? How else can I expand in that way?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And I just think this goes to you, even the idea that's beyond you. And that, to me, when you have something really that is meaningful, that's making an impact and a difference, you have this buy-in. You have parents and students and teachers and people in the community that feel that buy-in and connection, and that makes all the difference. All the
Yeah,
difference.
we just heard this. Who did I hear this from? I think it was Michael Gerber. I was on a
Oh,
really cool, it was so awesome. I was on a podcast that he did, and he said, and I'm paraphrasing what he's saying, but it was something to the effect of, people shouldn't buy in you, they should believe in you. And so he was like, it's not a buy-in if, when they believe in you, that's that's your tribe, that's your people. Like, and again, I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he
love
just
it.
kind of talked about this buy versus believe. And a lot of times in business, we want people to buy. And he's like, no, the way
Yeah.
that they're your tribe, the way that's a real, the real connection comes when they believe in what you're doing, not when they buy into what you're doing. And that's huge. Like, I think that's huge. And I feel that way about my tribe and my students and my dojo family. Like, they
Yeah.
believe in it. They don't buy in it. They believe in it. And that's how we were able to push through the pandemic. That's how we're able to, the school runs without me in Maryland, because they believe in it too. So.
Oh, I love that. That is a great, I'm actually rereading his book literally right now.
And that's
Michael
super cool.
Gerber's book. That's so funny. I love that reframe. I was saying I'm reading his book right now, and I love that frame that it's not about buying in, it's about believing in, right?
Yeah.
And that is beautiful.
Yeah.
Last question. You know me with my like made up words and all kinds of things. So I have to ask. I'm just so curious. I love to ask you all kinds of things. Um, when you think about the You-est You, what does that mean for you, to you? You can go any corner of the world with the way you want to answer that. But I'm just curious, what is that? How do you define that for you?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I think, what is the You-est You? To me, it is showing up authentically,
Yeah.
making sure that whatever you believe in, for me, it's my faith in God, shows through me. That's my You-est You. So my actions are shown through that. My faith, being authentic, actions speak louder than words. You know what I mean? So for me, that's, as long as I'm doing that, that's my You-est You. Like, that's my authenticity, is that my faith, how I'm grounded, the people I surround myself, shows through my actions. Does that answer it? Yeah, that's like,
Love
yeah.
it. Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. It's the authenticity. It's your actions, your faith, your grounding, your people, but doing that from an authentic way. I love it, Monique.
Yeah.
That is, it's beautiful. I am so grateful for you. I've been wanting to, so I think I said in the beginning, I feel like we're just like having coffee at Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Monique and I meet
Yeah.
often usually because I'm like, can we meet at Whole Foods? Because I, for some reason, flip and love it over there. Um, and whenever we chat, like, my instinct is like, God, I wish I was recording. Like, there's
Oh,
such gems coming out of you. And I'm like, darn it,
yeah.
we're doing this. And I just, I love you. I appreciate you.
You too.
I really thank you. And I am so grateful to share you. And I really appreciate and honor how you live your life from such an authentic, space of being grounded, faith, having that faith-based, and actions that always meet your heart and your faith and your beliefs. And I think that's extraordinary. I really do.
Thank you. No, thank you. It was awesome. Always good talking to you, soul sisters.
Oh, yay. So fun. And I'll just say, on behalf of both of us, if that's cool, I'll just speak for you, Monique, for a second, and just say to all of our listeners, first of all, if you're in the Maryland area, Virginia area, and you're female, identify as female, have girls, have, nieces, anyone that you think would be interested in Monique's school. And I know they have offerings now online too, but we'll have all the information, because Karate for Girls is amazing. It is run
Mhm.
meticulously. Monique is the real deal, as I'm sure you can tell. And I just love this mission. The raising strong, what is it? Strong girls become stronger
Stronger
women.
women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got it. I was like, I know it. Yeah. Strong girls become stronger women. I'm like, hello. Yes. Women empowerment. And anyhow, either way, I just thank you for listening, for being here with
Welcome.
us. And we hope that you are inspired by this conversation to be and to love and align with your You-est You. And I love you, lady. Thank you for coming.
Love you too, my friend. Have a good one.
Mwah. My friend, I'm so grateful and honored to be here with you on your journey and being your You-est You. Thank you for watching this episode, for being part of this incredible community and this mission to really step into your light, to your highest purpose. I believe that as we all do that, we all can really be our best selves and uplift consciousness and in humanity. So thank you. I also wanted to say that if you are looking for greater support right now, maybe you're having a health concern or you're looking to really step into that next version, best version of yourself, please come connect with me, whether it's for more resources or coaching or guidance. I would love to support you in any way that I can. Just go to juliereisler.com. You can book a powerful one-on-one breakthrough session there. You can connect with me. I would love to meet you. I'd love to hear how I can be on this journey with you. And before I forget, if you'd like a little more of this good vibe tribe and would like to digest these episodes with a high vibe community, just go to Facebook and look up the You-est You podcast community. You'll find us there. Love always. And thank you so much for taking the time and energy to truly stepping into your authenticity and being your You-est You.